Welcome to the last part of our Corner Country adventure. Hi, my name is Rosemary, one half of R&R Living Life, the other being my husband Rick. Together we have been exploring the Darling River Run and Corner Country and are now on our journey home. On this episode we travel back through the Moree Plains Shire of New South Wales, from Collarenebri to Moree, Ashley, Gara and on to Mungadai on the Queensland-New South Wales border. From there we travel to Thallon, Nindagully, Torwood, Westmar, Moonee, Dalby and further east towards the southeast corner of Queensland. I hope you enjoy watching this episode. The first part of our journey today will take us from Collarenebri to Moree. As we leave camp, the area was covered in evaporating fog or frontal fog. Even the water tower was smoking. This fog was formed when the warm rain from the previous day evaporated into a cool, drier layer of air near the ground. This mixed together with the warm, moist air to form fog. The moisture looked like wisps of smoke rising from the surface of the countryside. It was an amazing experience to see the crops smoking and the landscape emerge through the fog. Most of the rivers in the Murray-Darling Basin start in the Great Dividing Range as fast-flowing rivers. However, most of the basin lies on flat plains, which are not above sea level, and in these areas the rivers tend to flow more slowly. The Darling Basin in Australia's southeast is a system of interconnected rivers and lakes. The Paroo River catchment is in the top northwest corner of the basin, and begins in the Warrego Range west of Charleville and flows across sparsely populated semi-arid plains with little surface water, ending on the floodplain south of Wanaring in New South Wales. The Warrego catchment begins in the Caravan Range and supply extensive wetlands as its rivers flow through flat semi-arid plains where extensive grazing is the predominant land use. Most of the Condamine-Ballon catchment involves the Condamine and Maranoa rivers that rise in the elevated country in Queensland. 2/3 of the catchment is flat floodplain country with a complex system of rivers and creeks joining and breaking away from the Ballon River. While a few main waterways of the catchment flow to the Barwon-Darling River system, most end in lakes and wetlands in southwest Queensland and northwest New South Wales. Moree, on the banks of the Guida and Mihai rivers, is a major agricultural centre in the Guida Valley in northwest New South Wales, located at the junction of the Newell Highway and the Guida Highways. Along with its abundance of artesian water, Moree boasts some of Australia's most fertile, rich black soil plains, which is ideal for growing pecan nuts and cotton. From Moree, we made our way north towards Mungadai along the Carnarvon Highway, through some very small rural communities of Ashley and Gara. These small hamlets that are surrounded by cropping and livestock properties. Ashley's main industry is cotton farming and is home to 2 cotton gins, one of which also processes wheat, cereals and legumes. It is a simple fact that Mungandai is unique. Straddling the Barwon River, Mungandai is called by one name, but located in two states, New South Wales and Queensland, and is the only border town in the Southern Hemisphere sharing the same name in both states. It is also the only town to have two police stations, one on each side of the border. Sitting atop the Caravan Highway, which links Melbourne with Darwin, Mungandai is the connecting point of four shires, being Moree Plains and Walgett in New South Wales, St George and Goondiwindi in Queensland. The landscape between Moree and Mungandai is starkly beautiful. On reaching Mungandai, we visited the 1 tonne post, a survey marker. In 1865, the New South Wales and Queensland governments agreed to fix the intercolonial boundary line, the 29th parallel degree of latitude. The absolute determination of the 29th parallel began in 1879, with two surveyors being appointed, Mr Watson from Queensland and Mr Cameron from New South Wales. Using a sextant and theodolite, they placed in the ground 2-foot-long steel pins within a triangle of trees marked A, B and C to mark the 29th parallel at the Barwon, Moonee, Naran, Bocara and Kalgoa rivers. Moving west from Warrangum, the pair experienced floods and droughts coupled with disagreements that saw Watson withdraw at the 100-mile post. Cameron persevered to reach the South Australian border some 12 months later. Following the completion of this very difficult survey from Warrangum to Cameron's Corner, Cameron then set out to survey the 199.5 miles east from Warrangum to the Barwon River. The survey east from Warrangum was much easier, and he reached the Barwon at Mungandai in October 1881. To celebrate the conclusion of the very difficult survey, Cameron cut and placed a 1 tonne post on the bank of the Barwon River in the thick of the bush 3 miles west of Mungandai. The 1 tonne post stands as a remarkable physical monument erected by Cameron to mark the end of the arduous 2-year task of surveying the straight section of the Queensland-New South Wales border from Cameron Corner to the Barwon River. Believed to be the largest wooden survey peg in Australia, the 1 tonne post remains as a testament of Cameron's achievements. Unlike many country towns which developed at river crossings or crossroads or around station homesteads, the location and layout of Thallon was planned in connection with the extension of the railway line from Goondiwindi. Thallon was gazetted in 1911, and with the coming of the rail line, the town developed with shops and a hotel being established. The town is surrounded by prime grain-growing country and draws grain from Wellangallen, Nindagully, Mungandai, Durrumbandi and Thallon. The Moonee River can be found just outside of Thallon and flows south to north. In the town park we visited the giant statue of the northern hairy-nosed wombat and a giant Anzac Digger War Memorial statue. The northern hairy-nosed wombat is one of the world's most endangered mammals, with some of the earliest specimens of the wombat found in the area. The statue was built to commemorate the centenary of Gallipoli. Sculptures stand throughout the town to celebrate the people who came to Thallon with construction of the railway line. On the street near the crumbling remains of an old brick baker's oven, a sculpture stands to help visitors identify where the bakery once stood. The Thallon grain silos were built in the 1970s and now are one of the largest grain delivery sites in the country. The watering hole mural covers 4 30-metre high silos that showcases icons of the district, recognising both Thallon's Indigenous community and celebrating the area's agricultural base. The famous Nindagully Hotel, built in 1864 on the banks of the Moonee River, is located south of St George and was once used as a staging post for Cobb & Co when they ran extensive services through central and western Queensland. Part of the old original building remains with its sawn timber walls and proudly boasting about its status as Queensland's oldest pub in its original condition and location. The hotel is thought to hold one of the longest continual licenses in Queensland and has featured in commercials and more recently in a movie. Very little of the original 1885 timber bridge across the Moonee River remains. The Moonee River rises west of Dalby and flows generally to the southwest, joined by 13 tributaries before reaching its confluence with the Barwon River. The Moonee River flows across southwest Queensland through a very flat landscape into northern New South Wales, and is a simple channel system with few tributaries compared with other rivers in the basin. The river exists as a series of unconnected waterholes for most of the time, flowing about 1/3 of the year. The pastoral district of Tallwood, surveyed in the 1860s after the construction of the rail line from Goondiwindi to Durrumbandi, is a small rural town boasting a lawn and tree-lined main street that services the surrounding rural industry, including the new AWB grain transfer depot. Westmar, at the crossroads of the Barwon and Moonee highways, has a community roadhouse that offers everything from fuel to groceries, an evening meal and a cold beer. We camped at the rest area across the road from the roadhouse and enjoyed the bird life that were feasting on the grain dropped by the trucks. Though on the crossroads, we had a very restful night. Moonee, the oil capital of Queensland, is a tiny settlement on the intersection of the Leichhardt and Moonee highways in the Western Downs. In December 1961, Moonee was the site of the first commercial oil field, a very small oil field consisting of less than 1% of Australia's oil and gas reserves. The region is also an agricultural area that produces grain, beef cattle and prime lambs. Dalby is the regional hub of the Western Downs with an agricultural heart, producing cotton, wheat, sorghum, sunflowers and cattle. Founded in the early 1840s at a place known locally as the Crossing on Myall Creek, a tributary of the Condamine River that is part of the Ballon catchment that flows into the Murray-Darling Basin. The first settler was Henry Dennis, who explored the region and chose land for himself and others in the locality. A small settlement was founded to assist travellers heading north. As this trip comes to an end, I think back on some of the truly amazing places we have visited and seen. From where we commenced our journey, getting to and following the Darling River run to where it joins the Murray, and then making our way to corner country in far western New South Wales and Queensland. We have travelled through some very isolated and beautiful landscapes. On this leg, we travelled across the catchment areas of the Murray-Darling River system, across the Guida, Mihai, Paru, Warrego, Condamine, Ballon and Moonee rivers. It has been a truly amazing experience travelling across such a vast and breathtaking landscape. I hope you have enjoyed watching just a small snapshot of our corner country travels. Thank you for watching. Join us next time as we venture back into central New South Wales. Cheers, Rick and Rosemary, living life.